Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
Today, we are here with another story of a saint.
Yes, in our pandering to viewers. As today is a saint day of a mystic who was...
Well, this is the feast day of a
Yeah.
mystic saint.
Yes, who was mentioned in a comment by name.
Mm-hmm.
So, today we are talking about Saint Teresa of Avila.
We're giving the people what they want.
Anyway, we are talking about, I believe, the original in the giant line of Teresas.
Yes, this is the OG Teresa from which all other Teresas spring. They're all named after her to some degree.
Saint Teresa of Avila.
Also known by her religious name, Teresa of Jesus.
Yes, and we do have her given name because, of course, it's
Ooh.
a whole line.
I don't know what her given name was.
Anyway, she was born March 28th in 1515.
In Avila, in the Crown of Castile. I'm going to assume that this was from a time when the area that we now know as Spain was much like the area that we now know as Italy used to be, and that it was rather than a single nation, it was...
Well, this is going to be the early years where they're joined together because it's going to be after Ferdinand and Isabella essentially had all their minor
you're right.
runs where they
1515,
gained
yeah.
power, but they still had some sort of a level of, separation within the...
Okay, so you're right, because 1515 was after 1495.
The two will only be joined in their
92.
children. Because right now, it's Ferdinand of Castile and Isabella of Aragon. They're married, so they jointly rule, but only when they have a single heir to both Castile and Aragon is what we know as Spain.
Oh, okay.
All right, and she died on October 4th or 15th in 1582, and you can...
Which is an awesome story that we're not going to talk about today.
In Alba de Tormes, Salamanca, Crown of Castile, which, once again, is in Spain.
Plus, it's just fun to say Salamanca.
Salamanca.
Yes. Her attributes are she's wearing a habit. Often she'll have a heart that she's holding, or an arrow piercing the heart, or a book or a scroll. And quite often there's either a dove or a light off to one side that she is looking at.
It's weird that she's not throwing sandals away.
I do want to see that.
What you feel that the discalced Carmelites should be chucking shoes?
She's not the foundress of the discalced Carmelites, but she's the inspiration for the founding of the discalced Carmelites. Chuck those calces.
All right, she is the patron of, get ready, Spain, sick people in religious orders, people ridiculed for their piety, lace makers, headache sufferers, Pozzega, Croatia, Talisay City, Cebu, Philippines.
Nice.
She was a mystic, a religious reformer, a Carmelite, a writer, a contemplative, an administrator, a theologian, and is because once you have that title, you remain in that title, Doctor of the Church.
She's one of the two original female doctors.
And I believe the very first one that actually got the title out of it.
Nice.
All right. Do you want to do her full birth name? Because it is something.
So she was born Teresa Ali Fatim Corella Sanchez de Sapecha de Ahumada.
All right. That is a name.
I mean, the last two names, I believe, are both the parents' names because of their tradition of, you put the two names together.
That's
De Capeta.
That's what the E is.
Ahumada.
Yeah.
Yep. In modern Spanish convention, they've gotten rid of the E, but back then they still kept it. That's being the Spanish and.
Yep. She was canonized in 1622 by Pope Gregory the 15th.
So for those keeping score, that's only 40 years after her death. In church terms, that's pretty quick.
That's actually really quick.
Yeah, we're not talking Bonaventure or Anthony of Padua.
We've seen shorter ones with JP2 and
Peter of Verona. But yeah,
but for most people, you're looking at a turnaround of at least 100 years.
It's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick.
She was born to a wealthy wool merchant, Alonso, and his second wife, Beatrice. And I did not get anything on the first wife. However, given the rest of the story, I assume she had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
It does say he was very pious and strict, so
Yes. So,
odds are he didn't just go and like dump her and move on.
yes, she had at least
He put her away.
3 half siblings,
Quietly.
and I believe 1 full sibling. His father had been a
Had been a converso.
yes.
That is a convert.
Yes. It's a set type
It's
of convert.
specifically a Jewish person who converted in order to
Stay in Spain.
stay in Spain. And yeah.
So when her father had been young, his dad got in trouble with the Spanish Inquisition on the charge that he had returned to the Jewish faith. So that probably added in his, we're going to be super, super strict because I don't want to deal with that again.
Yeah, we don't want to leave any room
even
for
though,
doubt.
he had grown up Catholic, it was still questioning.
Yep.
Look, I don't want to suggest that we should necessarily go to a unrealistic strictness, but at the same time, I mean, if it works, there's something to it.
Well, this story proves that it works horribly wrong because her entire life was spent disappointing her father.
That's fair. I'm just saying. Look at who she became. I mean,
By constantly doing, what would my dad not like? Anyway.
I'm all right with that. If my children make their decisions based on what would my father not like me to do, and still somehow manage to become saints in the process.
As long as they become saints.
That's really the issue. Is that
So,
they,
her mother Beatrice was also very religious, but not nearly as strict as her father. For example, both women loved romance novels, which I'm presuming doesn't mean like Harlequin romances with Fabio on the cover.
No. We discussed this with Saint Nacho.
Right.
These were tales of the Roman era kind of a thing. So
Well, tales of chivalrous knights, deeds of
yes.
daring do, and courtly love.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She
Good
also
stuff.
she also
The romantic era. Sorry, not the Roman era. The romantic era. Yes.
she also enjoyed popular fiction on other objectionable subjects like fashion, gardens, and flowers.
Well, so much scandal with flowers.
Well, that was probably before they invented the language of flowers, so they meant nothing.
It's certainly well before the Victorian language of flowers. Yes.
Her mother unfortunately died when she was 11, which of course left her very sad because she was very close with her mother.
And Alonso just cannot keep a wife alive.
It's a rough time in the
That's
1500s.
fair. That's fair. Their medicine is extremely primitive.
However, it did increase her devotion to Mary as her spiritual mother.
Amen.
As a teen, she was obsessed with boys and clothes and dancing, etc. All the things that a good teenage girl, all the things that an average teenage girl would be into.
She was into the early modern Spanish version of whatever Teen Vogue was. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So her dad sent her to a convent at 16 because
Get thee to a nunnery.
that means a completely different thing in Shakespeare, and he would be against it because he thought she was out of control.
Yep. So basically, he sent her to military school.
Yes. However, it backfired because she enjoyed it. One, for the fact that, it helped her spiritually grow, but probably at the time, more importantly, it was less strict than at home.
The Carmelite monastery she was in was less strict than home.
Do we know about her family? Did she have sisters? Because I could totally see her writing home going, you should maybe see about getting yourself sent here. This place is fantastic.
Well, we know at least 3 of them were probably noticeably older because of the half-siblings.
And
For
the
the
fact
first
that
marriage.
she's from, okay.
She did have a brother that, from what I read, seemed to be younger, but,
Yes, the whole second wife thing, yeah.
Anyway, when she was 20, she was at the point where she had to decide if she wanted to marry or join a religious order.
Yep.
And she didn't want to marry because she didn't want a difficult marriage like her parents, which is probably why he went through so many wives.
She wanted an overbearing husband like her own father was.
However, she didn't think being a nun would be fun either.
Sure.
So in the end, she joined a less strict Carmelite group, which was the
Carmelite Convent of the Incarnation.
Which incredibly disappointed her father because, this is a less strict group.
So essentially she was joining like the party Carmelites.
Yes. Yes. In part because
I kind of want to hang out with the party Carmelites.
You don't.
well,
I mean, I do, but I'm not gonna.
Because it was one of those things. At that time, there were many other women who didn't want to get married, but they weren't really being called to religious life. It's just
So do they have lay orders then?
Option. No.
Oh.
No.
They're religious. They don't take it at all seriously.
Yes.
They're bad at it.
So they had visitors. They had parties. It was totally expected that you could leave for a long length of time because then they don't have to pay for your stuff.
They lived lavishly instead of austerely.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. It
no,
was,
that takes away all the fun.
It was kind of like high school. If you were rich and popular, everyone liked you better. I mean, the visitors were supposed to be there to be getting, lessons in like mental prayer and stuff, but a large part of it was what's the town gossip. She fell very ill. Some sources say malaria. Some sources don't name exactly what it is.
Their medicine was primitive, so.
And so she had a seizure that caused her to be in a coma so long they started digging her grave.
Yikes! But again, coma, so still breathing, and they're just like, she's probably not going to make it.
Well,
Pedro, start digging.
There's the point of before again modern medicine.
Yeah,
you can only go so long without water, and if they can't give you water, you're going to.
Yeah, that's fair.
But after she came to, luckily not buried alive, because that may or may not have a negative effect on me being declared a saint.
We're looking at you, Thomas A. Kempis. Old Scratchy.
She was paralyzed for 3 years, and her health was always bad after that.
Yikes.
Also, during this time, she stopped praying.
That's much worse.
Not because it was like, I'm a mad at God type thing, but just first it starts off with, she's so ill, she doesn't have the ability, and then she's like, well, I'm still ill.
Well,
and,
whatever.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, it's one of those problems. I've had those problems. No, I was supposed to pray today. Well, that's right. I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then you forget tomorrow.
Do today.
So anyway, by the time she was 41, a priest got her to start praying again, but she was having a lot of difficulty in it.
Well, she wasn't particularly well formed. She had a lot of resentment, and for now 20 years, she'd been living a not dissolute, but a not at all devout lifestyle.
20-something. 15, 20-ish, yeah. Because she joined the order when she was 20, so...
And so now at 41.
Yeah, so 15 plus.
Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't find the exact start point, and I'm sure if I actually read her autobiography, I would, but that would be, a lot more reading. But she started having...
You had to struggle through the transubstantiation book.
She started having visions.
Ooh.
Including... She also apparently levitated, but nowhere near as much as St. Joseph.
She wasn't as famous for it as St. Joseph of Cupertino.
Yes. Which she didn't consider like this great spiritual gift. She was embarrassed by it and considered it like God was chastising her for...
I could see that.
If only God would chastise us all that way.
I'm just saying. I mean, I presume these things didn't necessarily happen when she wanted them to. So I mean, imagine going through your regular daily life, and then just all of a sudden, just kind of.
Well, and this is something I think a lot of us have experienced. You're just kind of trying to live your life, and then in some way that you didn't predict or didn't particularly ask for, grace breaks in.
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily convenient.
It's right. I mean, you're going about your day to day, and you've got the list of things that you plan on getting done, and all of a sudden, trance. And
Yes.
when you
now
next
I'm floating.
And when you next come back around, everybody's bugging you because you were doing stuff, and then all of a sudden you were just kind of floating in midair, and everybody's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And you're like, I've lost an hour of my day. I now have more things I have to get done, and you people won't leave me alone.
Yes. She was one of the ones that had a vision where it's like, I saw this person that looked nicer than everyone else and seemed to be, not a normal person, but otherwise it seemed, no, it was, she was completely not paying attention to the world around her.
Yep. I saw somebody who needed praying for, and, well, look, I've got a whole day worth of praying to do, so I'll just get started with that one.
So she's experiencing these visions. She's experiencing ecstasy. She's levitating.
Yes. So some people were worried it was from the devil.
Sure.
So,
She just suddenly starts levitating off the floor. I could see how I might be concerned that
all of a
Are
sudden,
you possessed?
it's the Exorcist. Next thing you know, there's going to be green
It's
pea
going to be
soup.
green pea soup going all over the place.
So
I need a young priest and an old priest.
yeah, so they did have investigations for that.
I hope they didn't pinch her and burn her like they did with St. Joseph.
I don't know.
Guys, man, am I right?
Well, that's what it is. Different dudes. And, yep.
However, modern people now think it might be that she had temporal lobe epilepsy too.
I don't think that makes you levitate.
It doesn't make you levitate. However, it's one of those ones where it's like that explains some of the things.
Yeah, but not the
But
levitation.
not all of them. It's one of those things where it could be that God was using a natural
Of
thing
course.
she had to augment it.
Of course.
You're going to be seeing weird stuff. We're going to make it help you grow in holiness.
Also, you're going to float.
Yep.
So at the age of 43, she decided to start a new convent that went back to the simple life, poverty, and prayer the order was founded on. Yeah, apparently, all this stuff that's going on in her life and trying to live fast and loose is not working out all that well. So
She spent all of her life to this point being lukewarm. Now she's on fire.
yep. Or at the very least, she's trying to tie everything down, both figuratively and literally. And is like, if I just get back to the basics, I'm simple life, prayer. That's what we're gonna do.
And still, possibly some dancing.
I mean, old dancing never hurt anybody.
Little jig now and again.
It was met with many problems, including being denounced from a pulpit, legal proceedings, and threats of the Inquisition. Which this is that Spanish one.
Yes. The Spanish one.
We've heard we've heard reasonably moderate tales of like the French Inquisition or other ones.
The Roman Inquisition.
But the Spanish Inquisition they don't have any good tales.
They have actually good tales. However, the issue was A, British propaganda, and B, they weren't following the rules of an Inquisition.
The Black Legend.
Yes, because they did a lot of things that were not allowed, which, when England was writing about it, didn't know was totally legal in the English version.
But again, this is something that happens to a lot of people who are trying to live radical holiness. They will even meet resistance from within the church.
Yeah.
Again, she was denounced from the pulpit.
Yeah. So, once the convent was made, she devoted her time to writing, until at age 51 she worked on spreading her reforms. This also was hard work, but she ended up founding the discalced Carmelites.
Because remember, it was a popular thing for young women, who perhaps didn't have a proper dowry or whatever. They just sort of get shuttled into religious life, and so they're not really living it.
Or young women who were being coerced into getting married to a schmuck. No, Dad. I'm going to go join a convent.
So
I will pray for the family for the rest of my life.
all right, fine. So, but calling people to radical holiness will always meet resistance, even from within the church.
Anyway, so one time when she was already ill, because she was always somewhat ill, but extra
after
ill.
the paralysis, she was never fully healthy.
Yeah, she needed to travel in very bad weather.
Yep.
And that sped on her death because she made that
She
trip.
was ill.
She stayed
She
at the
traveled in
castle.
bad weather.
She never left the castle.
Which only made things worse.
Castles are notoriously drafty.
Yes, resulting in her
Cold.
dying either on the 4th or the 15th because she happened to die the night they changed the calendars.
The Gregorian Calendar was being implemented depending on whether or not she died before midnight, the 4th or the 15th. There was no October 8th that year.
or
9th or 10th.
Or 5th or 6th or 7th. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And in 1970, she was declared a doctor of the church for her writings and teachings on prayer.
And, her reputation grew. The discalced Carmelites grew. Even the fully calced Carmelites got their act together. Took seriously the reforms that she tried to implement so that, a century before she was declared a doctor of the church, a young woman in a French Carmel took the name Therese, the Francophone version of Teresa.
Yes.
Before?
A century before she was declared a doctor of the church.
Oh, yes. Yes, okay, before she was declared a doctor of the church.
So her writings are known.
Sorry, I heard what you said, but my brain processed it as being declared a saint, and I'm like, no. She was after
a saint.
1622.
Most all of the Teresa line picked the name before she became a doctor of the church.
Yep.
I'm like 95% that the Mother Teresa was a nun before this point.
Yeah, very much so.
No, before, but by 1970, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and again, even her, she wanted to be Therese, but there was another Therese in the Loretto she was joining, so that's why she went with Teresa. So Teresa's named after Teresa's named after Teresa's named after Teresa's. Yeah, by the time you get to Teresa Benedicta, I'm not sure if she's named directly after Teresa of Avila or by proxy after Teresa of Lisieux.
I don't
think
remember
Avila, but-
because she read one of their two ones that was important in her conversion. And
We'll go
it's
back and watch. We'll go back and watch our own episode
Yep.
about
Anyways.
Teresa Benedicta of the Cross.
So, we hope, Swamp Thing, that this
discussion
on Saint Teresa, mystic and doctor of the church,
with unknown death date.
Mm-hmm.
that you feel that this has been sufficient attention to your request.
Well, and her writings are still cherished today. So if you want to go ahead and read the Interior Castle, go nuts.
And if by some chance it wasn't, and you feel we need to do a deeper dive,
Or maybe we should take our shoes off and then start the episode. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm already shoeless.
As am I. We're inside, but still, physically, be like, look, no sandals.
But if it didn't cover all your concerns or questions, if maybe you or one of our other viewers have a saint that they would like us to do a treatment of, go down below to the comments section and put their name down there. Tell us what saint it is you have an affinity for, and perhaps why. While you're down there, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell next to it so you get notified when we have new episodes come out. And until next time, as always, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.
Watch a bunch of discalced Carmelites are like, we're allowed to wear shoes.